The 2026 NEBA season is brought to you by Storm, Roto Grip, and 900 Global Bowling. We would like to recognize the additional sponsors who make these events possible. Tired of guessing how you're really performing on the lanes? Take control of your game with Tournament Sense, the ultimate companion for tournament bowlers. From tracking every frame to managing financials, it's time to stop playing and start dominating. Download Tournament Sense on the App Store or Google Play today. DJBT is a competitive tournament series built for youth bowlers, with adult participation on challenging sport patterns. A PBA junior affiliate and youth athletes can earn junior gold qualifying spots. KR Strikeforce. For those who have a choice, go with the most trusted name in bowling. KR Strikeforce. Cambridge Credit Counseling is your destination for debt relief services. Visit cambridgecredit.org to learn how they can help you with credit card debt, student loan repayment options, and mortgage relief services. NEBA's longest running sponsor, Buddy's Pro Shop, offers high-quality professional services at the best prices in the industry delivered to your front door. Visit buddysproshop.com today. Bloomfield Electric, providing service, design, and installation since 1926. Jeff Barden and his staff offer fantastic bowling facilities at Yankee Lanes Keene and Yankee Lanes Manchester. Visit them on Facebook, Twitter, and their tournament Facebook page. Northeastern Bowling Championships. Ace Mitchell Bowlers. Mart is the largest bowling distributor in the world. Dexter, the #1 bowling shoe in the world. Staying ahead with innovative technology is how we build shoes for every style of bowling. Follow on Facebook and Instagram at Dexter Bowling. Better Bowling Concepts, specializing in customer service and providing customers the best ball motion possible. East Coast Sports Investors, your leading source of sports information, many styles of bowling. Keep styling on them. Turbo Grips, driven to bowl. For more information on products and services, you can visit turbogrips.com or visit your local pro shop today. Taking bowling and business and marketing their products and services in a modern way, Major Bowling offers quality services and coaching regardless of skill level. Here to help you look great while you enjoy the most participated sport in America. Discover unique bowling shirts and jerseys at iambowling.com and use code NEBA for 25% off. Better feel, better control, better performance. JoPo grips are changing the game with their easy twist system and unmatched consistency. Make the change today and feel the difference immediately. JoPo grips, trust it, love it, and just twist it. Located inside Norwich Bowling and Entertainment Center, Ideal Bowling Concepts is your one-stop shop for all your bowling needs. Leah Cars, the brand of cars for the bowling community. Bullwinkle's Pro Shop, Attack the Rack. We would also like to thank Tony and Suzanne Renaud. Island Bowling Supply, The House Bowling, Tech Vision, Northeast Megabucks, Grog Monster Sports, and Pinwheel.us. Thank you for tuning in. Now remember to like and share and enjoy the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here in the same place we were yesterday. I'm at Nutmeg Bowl, but we're talking to you about the 2026 JoPo Grip Special Cuts event. And more specifically, we're going to be chatting with the winner of that event, your Hall of Famer, Greg Flamand, and now 5-time NEBA titleist. So I'll talk a little bit about the event real quick. We were at Bowlero Worcester, same place that we caught with the KR Strikeforce non-champions event that we talked about yesterday. And yeah, we had a pretty reasonable turnout considering all things. Leading into this event, it was about 2 days before it, we only had about 23 entries or so. We ended up climbing up to 47 entries just in 2 days. So pretty solid turnout for a special cuts event. If you're not aware, the special cuts event includes seniors, super seniors, as well as the women. And we took I believe the top, if I remember right, I believe we took the top 12 for this event. We did end up with a woman in that. Greg Flamand, on the other hand, was just outside of the actual cut. They did end up having an at-large as well. And my man made it and then made the most of it. So, I'll give you guys a little bit of an idea of the pattern that they were bowling on. We'll bring this up real quick. Broadway V2. So 37 feet, a little shorter pattern. In a center where the middle part of the lane seemed to be a little bit tricky. It seemed to force you a little bit further left than probably what you needed to. So you need to figure out a way to get through the front part of the lane and be able to manage that, which did set up for both days, both high score potential as well as getting shot in the foot and shooting 150 in the middle of nowhere. So you really had to be careful, I believe, pair to pair. as well as what selections you were making and when, in order to kind of keep those scores rolling and keep up with the punches there. The cut for this event, at least the regular cut, was plus 76, with Joe Ceruzzi being at plus 66 for the at-large, and being the final guy being brought in there. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on today's champ. Well, I guess last weekend's champion, or 2 weekends ago's champion, but champion of the 2026 JoPo Grips Special Cuts event, Greg Flamand. So, Greg, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
I appreciate you making some time today for us. So let's hop right into this view here real quick. 5-time titleist and NEBA Hall of Famer. As a NEBA Hall of Famer, what does it mean to you to now be a 5-time titleist?
Well, it's real special to me. I won 4 times, and I just made the Hall of Fame because I had a Player of the Year at one year. I think it was 2011, which gave me the points to be there. But I had just enough points. I mean, it took 30 points to do it, and I had just enough points to get in there. So this, I always said in the back of my head, if I can win one more, it'll kind of get me over the hill, that kind of thing. And
Sure.
so it's a good feeling.
And let's see, I think your first title, if I'm correct, if I read this up right, you won a doubles title in 1999. Is that right? Who'd you bowl with?
Yes, Stevie Dale, most powerful release. Yeah, he was, pretty devastating,
He
the
still
way he
crushes
used
them
to throw
today
the
pretty
ball.
good too.
He still throws the ball like that, he doesn't look like he's aged at all. But it was at Riverdale Lanes, I believe. I don't know if they're there anymore. Uh, and it was, I really, back then we had to bowl on a lot of burn, and we didn't re-oil and all that kind of thing. So,
Sure.
by the end of the day, I mean, I'm not the best fifth hour guy in the world, but that's where I had to play. And of course, Stevie, he could play anyway. He's got such a release, and we pulled it off. So that was my first title.
Yeah, it's very cool, and obviously the first one sets and resonates with everybody. Is extremely difficult as it is to win an NEBA title and even advance to make the cut someday seems impossible. Let alone try to make it through the gauntlet that is sometimes either our match play situation or like this weekend where we're going to be doing an eliminator format. Even those can be pretty tough. And even something special like the Cambridge Credit Classic, where it's just a knockout brawl, and then we end up having a match play with bonus pins. There's no format that we do that's like a guaranteed win for the person, even if they're crowbarring them out there. So you constantly have to be on your game in order to make the cuts, advance in the cuts, and then in your case, winning. So
He was a tough tournament to win. It's always been a tough tournament to win.
Yeah, and that's no matter the pattern either, because for a little bit there, I mean, we were doing pretty regularly just recreational patterns, and they were very high-scoring events. But that drew the most entries, and the entries were a little bit cheaper back then too. But with all things, it all ends up adding up as far as lineage and things like that, helping boost things up. So it's what it is. But we're in the heyday of what NEBA is now, which I feel like is a great stepping stone to becoming something a little bit more. If you wanted to chase professional dream or even beyond that, that NEBA is a great place to start. It gives you a lot of experience, not only competitively, but as well as competing on the patterns that we are, to help people familiar with how to read ball reaction the right way. And I feel like we do a tremendous job at setting people up with that.
Yes.
Without further ado, we are going to load up your match here, but I do want to talk a little bit about their qualifying, because I got to watch you guys going through match play, but I didn't get to view you so much at qualifying. You qualified at plus 72, where the actual squad cut was plus 76. So you're pretty much grinding along. Low game of 192, high game of 243, and really just kind of staying even through the middle on a pattern that both looked extremely scoreable, but also pretty touchy, kind of pair to pair. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, yes, it was. And, when I saw the pattern in the beginning, I knew it was a short pattern. Broadway, I've seen from a long time ago, but these days, when you say it's a certain pattern, whether it's cheat or Broadway or whatever, sometimes it's 5 different ones today. So I wasn't sure if the ball would bounce for me. When I say bounce is the first thing I'm going to do is try to throw some balls down the lane and at the gutter at around 35 feet. Does the ball bounce? Does it not bounce?
Sure.
It's the first thing that I did, because if it doesn't bounce, it's a whole different strategy for me, because I don't have a lot of rev rate.
Sure.
But the ball bounced. So then it was, which ball do I choose? I began with I believe I began with the silver Hammer Envy. Is that what it is?
MB Tour Pearl.
Yes. that one there, I chose the fact that I could stand about the middle of the lane, my right foot on the center dot, and I'm looking at around the 3-4 board, 35 feet down the lane. And at that point, I'm choosing that I'm not going to play with the heads. I'm just going to look at that spot down there, and I'm going to try to bounce the ball to the pocket,
Sure.
which always starts out fine, and it did. I think I shot 230 the first game. I had what I wanted. I knew it was going to change, and as I get into the second game, right away it started to get tighter. Oil
You
started to
already
get
see
pushed
it,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, and right away I'm ringing a lot of 10 pins. I'm making I'm always thinking. So I'm moving just about every shot. I'm trying to move half boards, quarter boards. I'm trying to do all this stuff to get the ball as flush as possible,
Sure.
and it just wasn't working. Um, I was leaving a lot of 10 pins. I couldn't carry the rack anymore. I knew I had to make a ball change. And then it was like, what do I do? Well, Chris Riley's bowling right next to me, and how's he playing the lane? So I sneak over to take a look at the back of him, see where he's playing, and he's playing very straight, actually straighter than me, which is very unusual because he can move the ball a lot more than me, but
Sure.
he's playing very straight. So I elected to, well, okay, I'll go get some straight equipment. So I went over to my bag and I pulled out an old hot sauce that I like to
Oh
go
my.
straight with. Yeah, and I moved like 5 boards right, and I threw a ball right down 4 or 5, and the ball didn't move all the way down the lane, left a washout. I'm like, well, that ain't gonna work.
Right.
And so I went back to the bag and I pulled out I think it's an iron. It's like an IQ iron. It's a newer ball that I
Oh,
use to
the
go
all blue
straight.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
and
Ion Pro solid, yep.
yeah, but same thing. I lined up really straight and I threw what I thought was a good shot, and it never moved and left the 210. And I'm like, well, this is not good.
Yeah.
So what I did was I was about halfway through the game now. It's looking pretty ugly. So I switched to a halo, which moves a lot for me.
Yep.
And I moved way in to bounce the ball from the inside. I'm probably moving in 5 more boards than I was with the silver ball, and that didn't work. I mean, when I practiced with that ball, it was running out of gas 5 feet before the pocket, but there was no push down yet. But now, since we're like, going into the third game, there's more oil in the back of the lane, so the
Sure.
ball's responding better. So right away that ball looked good. I ended up shooting 240 that game, making that ball switch into the fourth game. So that was
Sure.
definitely the right switch to do. It wasn't straight. It was I had to hook it.
Yeah.
And so I stayed with that ball into the fifth game, even though I moved to a pair it wasn't the same. It was really tricky. And I kind of had to grind it out. And I did strike out in the 10th. I wasn't sure where I was with the cut, but it did turn out that I had to strike out in the 10th to make it. It's a good thing I did.
Yeah, yeah, it was very tight from, I mean, we did pay or have a couple extra spots going out, of the, for the at large anyway. I think it was only about 10 pins or so. Like you said, you definitely needed them all just to make it in there. And I think you were with 4 or 5 other guys who were all at that number. So very, very tight through
Yep.
there.
I
Uh,
wasn't sure. And I just bared down and I struck out, and I wasn't sure if that worked, but I needed
yeah.
to do it.
Better than not, for sure. Uh,
Yep.
so speaking of making the cut, moving ourselves into match play, right out of the gate, there was a bye, but we weren't so lucky to end up snagging that bye. So you made the run from the ladder from the very, very beginning all the way up through, drawing Brian Gasco right out of the gate. You knocked him out 245 to 206. So same type of strategy right out of the gate there, same type of ball, or
Yes. I lined up and practiced with my halo. I have two halos, one pin up, one pin down. I use the old strategy Billy Webb taught me, where I would go I drill them both like that, and the one that was pin up was responding very good. So I started with that ball, and it responded very good the whole game. So I ended up shooting 240. Um, but as I moved on to more games, you always think, when you have a good look on a pair and you're throwing the ball good, in the back of your mind, you think you figured it out. But
Hmm,
this game always teaches you that no, you didn't figure it out yet. This was just a good pair for that ball.
sure.
Um, so that's what happened. So I got fortunate that I had the right ball in my hand because Brian's always in the pocket, and I got fortunate I had the right ball in my hand. I ended up winning that match.
Yeah, and then he moved on against the tournament leader, Mark Bouchard, and I got to watch him bowl a little bit, and I was actually pretty surprised how fast he got himself out of the match right away with you. I felt like halfway through the match, my man, he was lost. So not only lost physically on the lane, but mentally, my man was checked out. He had already lost the match, and and you walked away fairly easy there with a $180 to 153, and I felt like you were in hand with that match the entire way. So,
Well, that pair was very different.
mm,
I had to tighten up. The pair was further to the right in that house. For some reason, you get to the right side of that house, and the pairs start to get tricky.
mm,
And for me, when I have to tighten up too much on a short oil pattern, I'm susceptible to hit them dry too early, and
mm,
the ball takes off. That started to happen to me. I knew I had to be lined up good because Mark is pretty tough, and he always comes out firing. That's just the way he's going to be. I've bowled with the guy for a long time, and I've never seen one time where he doesn't come out firing. That's what he's going
yeah,
to do. But he had the ball more inside in the heads more. I think it was more tricky than me. I was still trying to bounce the ball down the lane at around 35, 37 feet, but I was too tight to really manage it. But I ended up sneaking that match out because he kind of struggled more than I did.
he did. He did end up running a little bit of a struggle there. And just so the viewers at home know, this is very rare for Neba to do. But once again, you guys were bowling on the burn, so you had one round of qualifying, and now you're bowling match play on the burn. So I
Yes.
would be a fan of seeing a little bit more of that every once in a while too. I'm sure some other folks would like to see some change it up, but you'll get complaints either way. So whether you do it or not. So. But moving on to at least the match, this is like the first match I really got to watch. Viewers, I paid attention a little bit to the Bouchard match there, but you and Daryl Washington, you came out lighting them up with, I think you were throwing that MV Tour Pearl the whole time. And, we had talked to some guys back here, guys, Matt and Chris, and them. They're like, yeah, Greg's like a wizard of being able to like tickle him over and get him to fall. And I was like, nah, man, I think you needed to watch what I did. My man was putting 10 back almost every shot. So I bet that built some confidence going in there. Was that the same ball you were throwing prior?
Well, I was throwing again. I was still with the at the end of Mark's match. I was still with the Halo,
Mm,
but it was obviously wasn't working. But I was far enough ahead in the 10th that I needed to try a new ball, and I went back and got the NV Tour ball, the silver
sure.
ball, and I tightened up about 5 boards and threw the ball to see how it would respond, and it came up light, like almost like a 210, and so then. I think I just left the two pin. I'm not sure what I did, but I picked up the spare and then I moved more right and went straight down the lane, and the ball responded pretty good. So basically, I'm lining up maybe 7 or 8 tighter than with the same ball that I qualified with.
Yeah,
That's how much oil was pushed down the lane.
sure.
So I just started the next match standing in that same place. And you're right, it was like I couldn't miss as long as I kept the ball, at from 5 or out, like 4 board around there down the lane. I'm aiming at that same spot. The ball just didn't miss. I think I had the front 9.
You
Um,
did.
and it's kind of a good thing I did. I mean, Mr. Washington there, he missed some spares in the beginning,
Mm.
but then when he started striking, he struck all the way to the 10th.
He did. I think
So
he had 2 single pin misses in there.
yeah, so I had to have a big game because he had a big game going.
Yeah, he
So that
definitely
it
had
was
a good
just
luck, running into that. As a matter
yeah.
of fact, I mean, he only shot 210 the game before, but I had to watch him a little bit throughout, qualifying. He knows how to strike just as well. So, but that actually leads me, all of your striking into the championship match. So you're gonna be bowling, you're bowling Bob Green, lefty, if people don't know Bob Green, and not the other Bob Green, and throughout Neva. I think it's funny that we have two, one lefty, one righty, completely different games. However, your opponent had shot a big game himself early. He shot 300 uh,
I saw that he was right next to me, and
point.
and
Is
he
that in
had
the back
everything
of your
going.
mind at all that you feel like, oh man, Bob's
Oh
not
yeah,
lying? So
I saw him through 300. And I think at the time it was 2 matches before, I think, when he shot 300, and he was getting all the mixes. I mean, he threw a lot of flush shots, but he was also getting the ball to come in mid pocket, and he was blowing pins all over the place. So he had the angle. I mean, and I'm saying, I think I said it to a few people. I said, I want to bowl that guy. I mean, because he's lined up and he's bowling so good. But sure enough, I had just lined up on a pair that I thought I made the great ball switch, and he's shooting 300, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to bowl good here,
sure.
like you always have to do in a championship match. A championship match is always different than all the other matches. Um,
Speaking of
so
which,
that's what happened. But I
quality
just
shot there,
managed to stay kind of cleaner,
and we start
you
off
know.
this match with a strike. Just bringing up your championship match here.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and let's get all of us on here. Why not? There we are. Yeah, so first one right out of the gate, no surprise. As a matter of fact, I think you continue to string them moving forward, even in this game. So early on, I think maybe you had the front four or something in that ballpark, but you were still right there.
Yeah, I still had the same. I still had the same look, but I don't think the pair was as open for me as the last one was, because I couldn't make a small mistake on this pair. The other pair, I could make some small mistakes and I still got away with it, but on this pair, I couldn't really do it. So I was really trying to be mentally sharp and keep the loft going that I had. I had to pitch the ball. If I didn't pitch the ball, I was in trouble.
Sure.
But I did notice that he was throwing good shots too. I mean, but he obviously didn't have the same area that he did his previous match either, because when he kind of went left and he came in kind of light, that never happened on the other pair. So I don't necessarily think he made bad shots. It was just that he didn't have the same room, just like I didn't have the same room, and I just happened to come out of the gate a little faster.
Yeah, and as we're about to see, not only with Bob's shot here, I think this one got him in a lot of trouble. I actually talked to him a little bit after the fact. Is this one barely gets the 7 out of the 710? And I remember I talked to him after that match. I said, Bob, after the 710 was almost there, did you make any kind of adjustment or anything like that? And he said no. And I was like, Bob. So, and he fought that lane a little bit on you there too. And just to go back to talk again with you about your particular look on this pattern, I think it became more evident the further we got into the match how much these lanes were transitioned in comparison, because there was a few that, you could really see hook up in the front part of the lane and end up driving your ball a little bit high. So that's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, I get fortunate with the fact that you're right. As the lane play happens, for me to be out where I was, I would never last as long. If we had a lot more play on the lane or a lot younger players out there that dig up the lane a lot faster, I wouldn't have had that look for as long as I did, and I was losing it. There's no question. I had that good pair that I bowled down right before this pair, but most of the pairs were getting like this one,
Mm.
where I had to really loft it right to get to that 35-foot mark, 37-foot mark. If I didn't loft it right, it's going to go left.
And that one right there, the one that you just threw, I mean, obviously a 10 pin, but you ended up having one later on in the match that got to that same spot and absolutely burned and ran the 8 pin over. And I was like, this man's got the match locked. As long as he gets through and is able to get to the right like that one does, I had all the faith in the world. But once again, as we're going to see here, maybe not the next frame, but I think it's the frame after is where it starts to hook up just a little bit earlier. It almost makes it look like you miss to the fact that it hooks that much sooner and brings the ball offline and brings it up the lane there. So, that just, once again, I think it speaks a little bit more to the center characteristics more than it does the patterns, because we had the same thing the next day, completely different pattern with a different event where high scores were definitely possible. We had some 300 shot, but there was very, very easy to get caught up in either the transition of it or maybe the particular pair that you were on, and you could shoot 150 without a problem in something that's a little higher scoring.
It's so easy today. When you have a lot of players out there doing different things on the lane today,
Hmm,
especially me being an older guy now, bowling with a lot of the younger guys, not this tournament, but in many tournaments, they dig up the lane right inside of me a lot,
sure,
which is something I have to live with, and that's why you see me throwing old balls a lot, because they don't grab the lane early as much as a new ball will. I mean,
sure.
I don't mind throwing new balls. I'll throw any new ball somebody's going to drill me. Um, but for me to get the ball energy to come out of the pattern in the back, the older balls, I can loft them a little bit and I can combat a lot of the early burn doing that. What I
Sure.
can't seem to do it with the new balls are so aggressive that I can't seem to do it.
Even the lower end balls that are new today, I feel like are still very aggressive. I mean, we're talking about like the Storm just came out with a monsoon that has the tropical surge cover on it. That's their lowest end cover, reactive covers, and that ball's still a monster. And I'm like, what is going on? It's like we can't make a low end ball because people got to see their ball hook. At the end of the day, they whether it's low end or high end, if they don't see it hook, they're going to throw it in the trash, never see it again. It seems like so.
Yeah, I understand that, and a lot of the younger guys, they can create fantastic rev rate, and they can move really deep on the lane and create some kind of things that I just basically can't do. I mean, I'd be in a hospital if I tried to do it. But um, again, the balls are so aggressive that for me, that's what I do. That's why you see me gravitating to some of the older balls. For me, I need to see the end of the pattern. I need to see if the pattern's 37 feet long or whatever how long it happens to be. I need to see the ball respond at the end of the pattern. And if the
Sure.
ball's going 3-4 feet beyond that, or it's hooking 3-4 feet before that, I'm not comfortable. you know. So I'm going to keep gravitating to a ball that will show me the end of the pattern better, so I could line up better. And a lot of times recently, it's been with older equipment, has been giving that for me. Um,
Yeah. It's
and I'm
funny that
sure
you
there's
say that.
probably some balls on the shelf. Alex and Jonathan, they're the ones who line me up with bowling balls, and I'm sure there's some new stuff coming out. Maybe that's going to be very similar to what I need, and I can't wait to buy them. But for right now, I've been throwing a lot of older stuff.
Well, I tell you what, the older stuff seems to be working for you. Just to draw back to a different event that I caught you at the Cambridge Credit Invitational. It was probably one of the better showings I've seen you have in a while, and at a major at that. I think you placed fifth, and you were throwing, from what I seen the entire time, that halo.
Yes, that was the pin down halo, and I was able to stay. I was able to stay out down four, and I could go straight down four on
Sure.
that particular pattern, which many guys that have rev rate had to stay inside and try and bounce the ball down lane. And
Yeah.
if something funny happened, they were very susceptible to a 210, where I was very straight down four. So I didn't leave any 210s the whole time because I'm not using that much lane. But the pin down halo in that particular event lined up really good.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right for that particular event. That was the play. Was, stay as far away as you can, don't give the pocket away, and just kind of keep the old down and in, basically. So, yeah, that was an
Yeah,
absolutely good look. It got you in trouble.
that's how I grew up. I started bowling back in 1980, so
Which, if you're bowling Eva
that's
this
how
weekend, it's going to be the same type of thing, especially in Nutmeg. They love the gutter
I
here.
saw that. Yeah, I saw that pattern, and it very much looks like really straight down, right down the rim. But it is a long pattern. It's like
Yes.
46 feet, right?
It's 46 feet, but the forward pass I think is only 33 feet. So you really you got a lot of stretch as far as where the volume's going to be at. There is a small speed bump in there, but outside, I mean, obviously the gutter plays at Nutmeg. If you've ever bowled a sport pattern in Nutmeg, you already know that in advance. So it's going to end up for I think the people who score. I think they're all going to be playing a little bit further right outside of that volume at least early on. But just to nip away from that, the shots that you just threw on the right and left lanes here this past time, I think that was it for you. I think that is what decided the match. And as a matter of fact, this is when I started hearing Bob prior to that saying that he was out of it. So you had two guys that I heard calling against you saying, I'm already done. I'm already done. Now, I think that is a major factor when it comes to whether or not you're going to be competitive throughout the event. Is you got a lot of bowling left, and is this something that you ever catch yourself doing, or do you try to say, we got a whole game still left to go? There's a lot of bowling.
Well, it's I don't know. It's funny you say that. I mean, I just bowled this recent weekend in another tournament, and we had a really tough pair. I think Gasco could tell you about it. And I mean, we all opened up terrible. And I think I had 3 or 4 opens to start the game, and that starts to cross your mind. It's like, oh man, I'm out of it. Here comes a 130. This is really gonna hurt.
Sure.
Um, and I moved in. I really started lofting the ball, and I had some luck going for me. And I ended up striking all the way to the 10th, and I ended up shooting 200 anyway. So you can't think that way. You've got to keep you got to keep making shots. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's nothing you can do about it. But
That's just
you
bowling.
can't. You can't. Yeah, that's just bowling. But you can't stop thinking that way. Every time you step on the approach, you've got to make a decision about where you're going to stand, what are you going to do, what change you're going to make, that whole kind of thing. I mean, I'm always thinking like that because I'm changing my hand positions and I'm doing a lot of different things like old school things to try and get the ball to carry better.
Sure.
And that's what you do. And sometimes you can pull yourself right out of it.
Yeah,
But I
it's
did see him
definitely easy to
leave
turn
that.
around and shoot a good game. So
Yeah, I did see him leave that light shot, and that's the shot I talked about where when he shot 300 on the pair next to it and he bowled on the other pair, I didn't see any of his shots do that.
yeah.
And that's what I mean by I don't think he was throwing a ball bad. I just don't think he had the same room on those pair on that particular pair that he did on the other pairs.
For sure. The only time I seen him really make errant shots was probably on the right lane more so than the left lane, even though the left lane was giving him a little more trouble. We had talked about it after the fact. There was a couple that he was just probably a little forward to at this point, and then if he would have circled around him just a little bit more, get that ball to save just a little more energy for down lane, at least on the left lane, because I'm still confident he had the right lane locked in, and he just made a couple bad shots there. But yeah, I mean, if he would have figured out that left lane, he gave you a little more of a run. But at this point, you're walking away with it. It's such such a good feeling to go halfway through the match, go strike, 9 spare, 4-bagger, while your opponent has opens and spares and you can't really see them lined up. Is this crossing your mind at this point, or are you just going up and making your shot and going through the motions and just still staying in it?
Well, towards the end of the game, I'm trying to be safe. Towards the end of the game, if I'm up 30 pins or whatever, I'm trying to stay as safe as I can. In fact, the very last shot I think I make in this match, I think I go through the face and leave a split, but it didn't matter, I think. But it's really because I didn't want to throw the ball in the gutter. I mean, I'm playing so close to the gutter that it doesn't take
Been there.
much for me to overthrow it. And even in qualifying, I did that a few times. Okay, I got a little overzealous and I pitched the ball a little bit too much, and all of a sudden the ball's on the 2 board, it's ready to fall in the gutter. I got fortunate, stayed on the lane, and came back and gave me something weak that I could pick up or whatever. But I mean, I'm playing where I was. I'm susceptible to that. So getting towards these last couple of frames, I didn't want to throw it in the gutter. So
I don't blame you.
I went through the face a lot in the last couple of frames because I just didn't want any gutter balls to change the match, because he could just turn around and throw 4 strikes at the end and pass me. So yeah.
He could. I think we all know remember the Chris Barnes versus Michael Halligan situation where Chris was running him over and then the match flip-flopped, and I think Michael Halligan struck out to end up winning. He struck the back 6 or something like that to take it over. So
Yeah,
anything can happen
I mean,
in matches like this. It's crazy.
the match isn't over until I bowled a lot of Niebuhr, and I used to watch Billy Webb, a lot of people back then, and they would always, until it's mathematically over, you don't relax your mind.
Sure.
Because just there's so many guys out there, especially in these matches, there's so much talent that all they have to do is move the right way, or make a different decision, or throw the ball a little better, and they're going to throw a lot of strikes at you. Here it
Sure.
comes. So you can't be comfortable until it's mathematically finished.
Yeah, there's definitely been plenty of times in my book that I've made that mistake, and I don't think I do that anymore. I'm saying whether I'm in the match or out of the match until it's mathematically over, and if I can't strike out and they can't get more than 1 pin or something like that, I'm still in it. So, speaking of errors and things like that, you just had your first open 3, 6, 9, 10. I don't think that's anybody's favorite spare ever. And me personally, I talked about it earlier today on the buddy stream. If I leave that, I'm throwing it at the 3 pin and just crossing my fingers.
Yeah, well, it's a different strategy for me on this particular pattern because it's it's a short oil pattern,
Sure.
and as at this time later in the day right now, even throwing my plastic ball, I'm kind of susceptible to chop it.
Sure.
Um, if it were without the 9 behind it, I would definitely throw the ball straight down the 10 board, and have the plastic ball not hook and pick up the spare. But then again, this type of pattern, if I move in and try to cross the lane to it, if I don't throw the ball good enough and really push it down the lane, it's going to go left and I'm going to miss it anyway. So
That's true.
that's a tough spare on this particular pattern. I'm
Yeah,
more of a
absolutely. There's no pattern that you could put it on a house shot of house shots just for that particular spare, and I couldn't touch it. So, but
Yeah.
speaking of just pressure situations and things like that, Bob stepped up and did strike on the right lane. This is where he could have actually added some pressure back on your open, and I think he does throw an errant shot here. It's a little off the lane and ends up running away. Yeah, and 7 pin I thought was a little bit fortunate on the other end. It's hard, at least from a righty's perspective, to have a runaway Brooklyn and ended up still having something left over there after you threw all the pins at it. So kind of a fortunate break almost on your end, even though you are up quite a bit in the match. Was that almost crossing your mind? Like, woof, almost.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't matter who it is. People that can make the finals and they're up there, they can strike.
Sure.
And Mr. Green can strike. So I had that worry the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's, I believe he's a 3-time NEBA titleist himself. So my man's been in this position a few times. So it's not like he is unaware of what it takes to end up winning and lock in and that type of thing. So he could definitely do it. You're right. So let's see here. So at this point, you're just basically wrapping up. We got 8th, 9th, and 10th. And I think if you end up striking the situation, you would have been fine. However, I think this is the first shot on the right lane that I've seen that actually hooked up a little bit earlier and brought everything inside. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of jumping off memory
I'm starting not to try to
comparison,
throw it
but
in the
it
gutter.
started hooking probably 3 or 4 feet sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not pitching it to the
That's how
gutter
tricky
right.
some of these
So because
patterns
I'm
can
trying.
be.
What's that?
I was saying that's just how tricky some of these patterns can be as they start to transition in these high lineage centers.
I've seen it in many situations, and like yes, I was kind of lined up and I was throwing the ball sharper, but I've seen many other players where on really, really hard shots and they're starting off a match and they're throwing the ball. I think Listening would always say razor, you always use that term, you got to
Mhm.
be razor. And I'd see him throw the ball like, wow, is he, that he labeled the ball so good in the first 5 frames, then the match really changes. And then it looks like the guy can't find the pocket. And you're like, how can that happen? How can you be so locked that you just crunched like 4 or 5 strikes, and now you can't find the pocket anymore? It's just that mental. I mean, the lane is really that hard, but you were throwing such great shots to get that 4 or 5, and then once you mentally relaxed a little bit, you're not throwing those great shots anymore. That's how ugly it gets.
Sure. And speaking of great shots, we'll talk about that great spare conversion. You just had a 310 there. I mean, that would have really let Bob back in the door with another open there, and you ended up making that. That was such a clutch spare, and then to only just follow it up with another strike after that. That's championship bowling right there.
Yeah, the 310, that plastic ball, I'll use that. Try to get they go straight down the lane, deflect off the three. I won't go cross lane at that anymore. Um,
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah.
And really, I think that's it. I think that pretty much wraps the matchup, especially after Bob throws this first shot here in the ninth. And I mean, you're just home free. Are you sitting back there looking at the score at this point and just thinking, this is it, locked?
Yeah. I mean, again, I know he has the ability. He has the ability to, all of a sudden he starts throwing pins around to throw 4 or 5 together at the end. I know he has that ability no matter how it looked in the early part of the game. It just didn't happen for him.
So I did look up a fun stat online, and not often do people check out the stats area. At least I do a little bit more so. But just since 2003, you've had 91 total tournaments, 144 entries out of those. So once again, I think it just goes back to speaking. You're a Hall of Famer. You're gonna be a Hall of Famer. You've had 144 entries just since 2003, and have 4 or 5 titles to show for it, and a Hall of Fame status to show behind it. Once again, just going back to how difficult it is to win, like wins per entry type of scenario. So, just pretty cool. When did you actually start bowling, Nebo?
Oh boy. Boy, it was way back in the 1980s.
Testing it.
Mike Lubera was my coach that taught me how to read lanes. I mean, that was the big thing back then. There was not many people around Rhode Island that was actually reading the lanes, and he
Mm,
he he taught me to read the lanes. And I believe my first tournament was at Willie Bowl. I don't think we have tournaments at Willie Bowl anymore, but we had a tournament at Willie Bowl. That's the first one he brought me to, and I'll never forget it because back in Rhode Island, everybody played the 5 board. It was a big 5 board shot everywhere you went. And he taught me to play a lot of different angles, but I was fresh, I was new, I was young. And I went and bowled it. I bowled about even. Cut was about 80 over. And I remember walking into the bar after he's sitting there having a beer, Mike Libera, and he said, "Where'd you play?" And I'm like, "Well, I had a pretty good shot around the 5 board." He started yelling at me. He says, "I knew you were going to play the 5 board. The shot wasn't on the 5 board. It was on the 10-12 board. What were you doing on the 5 board?" Rah, 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 rah. Mike
it's
Libera
funny
was
how that
somebody
works.
that I really learned to listen to because he was a patient man and he taught me all kinds of things about how to line up on the lane. And, he was the guy to listen to. And that's how I learned to read lanes. And that was my first NEBA.
I think that particular type of culture is what has built NEBA and the caliber of players that we have today. Is if you go around and look, even a lot of the young guys are taking people under their wings and showing them the nuances of bowling that are unknown to the average bowler. So learning how to read lanes and your ball motion and knowing the differences between your balls and things like that. People to take example, the Stephen Major, Aaron Major, the guys at Major Bowling, fairly new company now, and they're doing the same thing. They're out there just trying to educate, and I feel like we have a lot of that, especially in the New England area in comparison to where I was just down towards like the Pennsylvania, Delaware area, even like Indiana. In that area, there's not a ton of opportunity, but as soon as you come up into the New England states, there's definitely a lot of folks who have a lot of knowledge to gain, and I feel like that's where we get our big strengths from.
I was fortunate to have Mike Libera very early on,
Mm,
who taught me to read lanes. And he was very polite about it because I was young and I remember one time he told me, he said, "Oh, so sometimes you got to play the 20 board." And I was like, I kind of rolled my eyes because nobody back then when I was bowling played the 20 board. Everybody played
Sure.
the 5 board. I mean, 10 board was considered inside. I mean, that's how it was way back in the day. And I just kind of rolled my eyes, and he didn't say nothing. He just went, took his what they called the mustard ball. Remember the gold angle a long time ago?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he just went out in front of me, and he struck from the 5 board, 10 board, 15 board, 20 board, 25 board. He struck, lined up and struck from every board right in front of me. So I was like, what can I say? It's like I
You
better
gotta know
start
how to do
listening.
that, especially
I
today.
better start listening to this guy, right? And that's what I did. And I had much other help too. I mean, throughout my bowling, I mean, Jonathan Van Hees was big, drilling all my equipment. That year I won Bowler Player of the Year. He drilled all my stuff. We discussed about, what kind of, he started to teach me about, all the panels were different, all the manufacturers were different when they came to putting lanes in. I just thought they were all the same.
Sure.
Some are 50 durometer, some are 80 durometer, all the centers are different, plus the lane patterns. As my points were higher that year, getting into May, I wanted to really go for it. And he stuck with me. He drilled a lot of ebonite equipment for me to match what I was about to step into every single month. We talked about it. He did it, and I managed to pull it off by the end of the year. So I've had a lot of help that I've had to go back and thank a lot of people for. It's not just throwing the ball. You need a pit crew, just like NASCAR, lining up
Sure.
lining up your equipment to what's going on in the lane.
And speaking of John Van Hees and all those guys, you have some people you'd like to thank or anybody you'd like to acknowledge?
Well, I'd like to thank all the sponsors for Niebuhr. I mean, you have a lot of sponsors putting up funds to help us
Yourself
bowl
included.
continue the scratch tournament. That's a tremendous help that wasn't there many years ago. And plus all the bowlers that show up. I mean, we get bowlers from everywhere now. I mean, it used to be just a New England tournament, but you show up at a tournament and you got to thank the bowlers that are driving from, New Jersey, Long Island, New York. In fact, I qualified with a young lady on the lanes with me, and we didn't talk much during the qualifying. But then when she started to talk to me, boy, her accent was terrific. I was like, "Wow, where are you from?" She was from England. She came over here from England, and she heard
Oh,
about
sure.
Niebuhr, and she's bowling Neba. And so, you're really getting an attraction, and, bowlers are making great efforts to drive to wherever the Neba is. And, and then, I have to thank all the people that run the show, including yourself and, the tournament director and everybody that works under him. And the tournament runs flawlessly. I mean, every time you show up, everything's ready. You know, the whole tournament runs good, squad after squad. And it's been a lot of tournaments. How many tournaments now? Over 1,000?
We're just about to hit 1,061 this weekend.
That's a lot of management, not just a lot of bowling. That's a lot of management for all the people that are running it now and all the people in the past that did it before.
I
So,
didn't
it's
know of the huge team that was behind the scenes until I started getting into the social media stuff, and then I realized how many people are involved in making sure an EBA event runs
yeah.
and it's finalized and all the finances behind it, and it's just such a huge thing.
And the players it has over the years. I mean, I was very fortunate to get inducted with the Hall of Fame. I went to the first one. And when I had to go up there and stand there and give a small speech and stuff, which I'm probably not very good at, but I went up there and you're looking at the crowd in front of me. And the bowlers that are there have just about every title you can think of that's nationally. I mean, there's people sitting in the room that, won the US Open, Paul Mojo,
Sure.
US Open, Brian B, the
The
Masters.
Masters and
Lustig tournament. Remember Lustig tournament? I don't remember them. Lustig tournaments in Long Island, $10,000, $12,000 tournaments, guys that could bowl those things. Mike Listing winning the high roller.
the high
The
roller,
biggest
man. Yeah.
tournaments, the biggest tournaments you can think of that really happened over the years here in the United States, all across the country. There was people sitting in that room that won those events, and that just speaks so much for NEBA, the kind of talent pool that's been created by the New England tournament, and it's all true.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely something to step back and just really try to look at the broader picture of all of the people who've put it together over the years, all the people who've competed in it. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize, Patrick Allen bowled Diva at some point, and this, that, and the
Yes.
other, and just like you said, just realizing the amount of talent that has come through the New England Bowlers
Patrick
Association.
Allen was tough, man. But when he bowled Neba, he always tough. He's obviously
Yeah,
look
he's
look
PA
look what
Haas.
look what look what he's become today. But I remember, I mean, I don't get in many brackets, but I mean, I remember one time getting in brackets back when I tried to get into brackets. I was never a great bracket player. And, I remember one tournament that I finally bowled like 250 3 times in a row. And I just remember going to the room like, boy, this is the first time I'm going to like have a really good bracket day because I never really had good bracket days. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
boy, I'm happy with myself. And I walked in there and I didn't get any money because
You
Patrick
got
got like
shot out by
270,
PA.
270. I was like, I mean, that's how good he is. I mean, he was really focused and really good back then.
Yeah, but knowing the caliber of players that were coming back through then, and I feel like we're just continuing that caliber and growing upon it, just with some of the players
Yes.
that we have that are going out and competing now. I mean, some of these guys, even since I've been here, the younger guys that are coming up, they are unreal good. We live in a
Yeah,
different
they
era now, obviously, than back then, but
yep.
the things that they're able to do with a bowling ball as few years as I feel like they've been bowling is something else. So it's very, very cool. Somebody just
No
commented in
question.
there, yeah, Mike Fagan, can't forget about him. I keep wanting to
Yes.
try to bring him back in for a NEBA doubles tournament, but dragging it from California is a little hard.
There's just many names that I was amazed at the people sitting in that room. And, I've been around a long time, so I watched them win all these events. And it all kind of came out of NEBA. NEBA had a
Sure.
great blueprint for creating talent, and it really worked and still working today.
Yeah, yeah, it's still working today, and we can't do it without the members. We can't do it without the support of just the people who like to watch bowling, or even our sponsors, like you were talking about. So, extremely grateful for all them. So, more so, I'm grateful for you coming on tonight and talking with me a little bit about your win, as well as just the future of NEBA and talking about the town. I'm a big fan of that. So, anytime we can get you guys in front of a camera, whether we have 1,000 viewers or one viewer, whatever it ends up being, just to have you guys have a little bit of recognition for a very difficult accomplishment, not only winning a NEBA title, not only you're a Hall of Famer, but becoming part of an elusive 5-time titleist club, which is just, anything after that is elite in my head. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to all of your accomplishments leading up this far. Hopefully we see many, many more. I'm sure you're going to be competitive as long as you're still strapping on some shoes. So, yeah. So
That's it.
thank you very much. We'll see you this weekend, or
I'm in Florida at the moment,
oh,
and
you
I'm
were in
headed back.
Florida. You did say that.
I, I'm in Florida
Darn.
with another bowler. You can see behind me all this stuff. I mean, he bowled a long time ago. John Charamello. He used to bowl a long time ago. So he still pays attention. But I'm headed back, so we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. Well, maybe we're safe for one more weekend. I guess we're gonna have to find out. But once again, thank you, Greg, for coming on out.
Thank you.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Greg Flamand, the winner of your 2026 JoPo Grips Special Cuts event, and also a Hall of Famer and now a 5-time titleist. Something very, very difficult to do, as anybody who's tried to compete in NEBA understands how hard it is to win one, let alone find a way to culminate 5. So congratulations to Greg. If you are interested in competing in NEBA, we have another event this weekend with the Buddies Pro Shop. Buddies Pro Shop Open Singles event right here at Nutmeg Bowl. You can get signed up. We do close pre-registration tonight, bowlneba.com. It closes at 10. So feel free to get signed up there. Worst case scenario, come on in on Saturday or Sunday. We have squads on Saturday at 6 p.m. You'll be able to walk in. Should be no problem for that. Same thing for the 9 a.m. and the 12:30 on Sunday. We are looking forward to a great weekend of competition there. So to wrap things back up here, we'd like to thank the sponsor of the 2026 JoPo Grips Special Cuts event, JoPo Grips. They are a fantastic brand. If you've had any chance to use them or use any of their equipment, or you know somebody who does, you understand that they are a powerhouse, just fairly new to the industry and coming up in crazy fashion. So shout out to JoPo Grips. Huge thank you to all of the sponsors for the 2026 season. It is a huge undertaking in order to be able to make NEBA what it is today, and we couldn't do it without you and your support. Thank you for everybody who watches. Thank you for everybody who comes and bowls NEBA. And if you're somebody who hasn't had a chance to bowl NEBA yet, please, please, please put it on your calendar. Come on up, compete at one of our events. You're going to have a lot of competition. You're going to have a lot of really, really good bowlers that you can watch and learn some things from. But not only that, you have your chance to become part of NEBA history by getting yourself a NEBA title. So it's a little bit of work, but it's definitely worth it. So if you guys are interested in seeing some more NEBA coverage, tomorrow, Sunday, we are going to have the live coverage of hopefully the semifinals and finals of a different format, which is the Eliminator match play format. So feel free to check that out. We're going to be live on YouTube as well as Facebook. So thank you guys all for coming out. We're not going to have a rolling credit scene out. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to load. But yeah, so thank you for everybody for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Come Bold Neba.